I'm Alan Weiss, and this is The Writing on the Wall. Hi, welcome to The Writing on the Wall. I'm Alan Weiss. This is episode 49. There's an app for that. I think There's an App for That is one of the most brilliant advertising, marketing, branding creations of the last decade, if not more. It is brilliant stuff. Even Dale Carnegie, remember that How to Win Friends and Influence People? This is from the 1930s. Even he has an app, and it's free to download, by the way. And so there is an app for that, apparently. You can win friends on the iPhone or the iPad. I'm working right now on technological apps. There'll be things that I'm working on, Alan and the gang, things on my site, we'll have apps for. But you know, we can all have apps, quote unquote, for our businesses. Now, here's what I mean. If you wanted apps for your clients, using apps as a metaphor, you should have multiple sources available for clients to deal with you. They should be able to deal with you in a variety of ways, and there should be all kinds of differentiated learning. So they could download things and acquire things and obtain things easily and at any time. So it might not be right now on an app, but it could be easily on their laptop or by fax or by phone or whatever. There should be updates readily available. And so your intellectual property should consistently be updated so that people get the latest and the best from you, and they feel they're always up to date on what you're doing and what you're offering. Whatever you offer in terms of apps should be inexpensive. Some apps are 99 cents, some are $4.99, some are $12.99, some are free. In your case, since the apps are designed to get people to use more of you, your app should be inexpensive or free and easy to obtain. Are you sending out free reports? Are you doing free documentation? Are you doing free teleconferences for your very best clients and best prospects? There should be notifications. Apps notify you when they're ready to be updated. Are you sending out notifications letting people know there's something new available so that they're even aware of it? People get RSS feeds for blogs and so forth. Why don't you reverse that and do something so they know when you have something new? Apps should work systemically. You download them easily. What can you do via email, for example, where people can obtain and acquire new things from you that any platform can handle? And there should be multiple platforms. You know, right now, I can download an application, a game, anything on both my iPhone and my iPad. There's this great tool called Dropbox, which is on my desktop, my laptop, my iPad, and my iPhone. What are you doing for people that they can use readily in a variety of quote-unquote different platforms? Maybe while they work during the day, maybe while they access others, who knows? Can you customize some? You know, apps have settings. Can you customize these, or can the customer customize them so that each app is configurable for that customer and feels it's a personal benefit? Apps are virally popular. You need to create word of mouth. You need customers to talk to each other. You need for people to talk on common websites, common forums about the ability to access your smarts and how they're available in different forms. There should be this common provider base. You know, the apps come from different sources, but they all come to be used on these Apple devices. They need to be common to you. Somehow your brand, your logo, your value should be associated with all these apps, so each one becomes a branding and promotion statement. And then finally, and most importantly, the apps that you provide, these virtual apps I'm talking about, they need to be pragmatic. If you look at the apps that I use every day on the iPhone, they track expenses, they track my flights, they track the stock market. I refer to these 3, 4, 5 times a day. They tell me what the weather is in any city in the world and what I can expect over the next day or 10 days or whatever. That's what you have to do for people in their businesses. These have to be pragmatic so they use them every day. You know, it's always a laugh when insurance companies or law firms send me this small physical calendar to be used next year. What am I going to use that for? It's not practical. It's too small. It doesn't sync with anything. I'm not going to carry that around. It's cheap. You need something pragmatic that people want to use every day. So what can your apps be like content-wise? If those are some of the formats, what can they be like content-wise? Well, you can give people intellectual property updates. Do it on a regular basis. You've got intellectual capital percolating up here. Turn it into intellectual property and at least provide a hint, a soupçon, something, so that people can get some value from it. You can circulate best practices. What are the best practices of your clients by industry or by geography or just overall that people would profit from? What about case studies? Can you create case studies that you've seen, hide the names if you must, that people can use and apply to their instances? How about some kind of appearance calendar of your appearances so that people know where you will be when? So if they want to come see you in person or send someone to see you in person, they're able to do that because your appearance calendar is out there. What about client news? Can you include client news so that somebody getting promoted, somebody with a new job, somebody who's been transferred, somebody who's come out with a new product or service, you can circulate to your entire client community, give people credit. Once they see that, they might do it more often. Government tax regulation, reform, impact, you can provide commentary on that or get an expert to provide commentary, an app through you, on what the impact is on your customer base, small business, large business, nonprofits. Common forms. I have people in my community, my mentor community, who provide, for example, hiring, termination forms, evaluation forms, all these kinds of things that smaller businesses can't afford to develop themselves and don't have their own human resource department. So you can provide a common approach to everything from expense tracking to the hiring of people that can come through your auspices. Industry and organizational trends, business trends that people should be aware of that you've seen happening. Another kind of app content you can provide. Excerpts from books, they don't have to be your books, or excerpts from columns, could be your columns. I'm not talking about plagiarism, but you might say Michael Collins' new book or Seth Godin's new book has these kinds of points in it which I think are appropriate and relevant to our businesses. And then client contributions and insights. Encourage your clients to provide their own commentary, their own insights, their own content that you can disseminate to others. So just to review here, if you wanted to create virtual apps, you have intellectual property updates, best practices, case studies, an appearance calendar, client news, government tax regulation, reform and impact, common forms that people can avail themselves of, industry and professional trends, excerpts from books and columns, and finally client contributions and insights themselves. And those are just the ones I have time for right now. I'm sure you can add another 10 or 12 to those. So your sources or avenues to do this: via email, via podcast, via your website, via your blog, in your newsletters, in press releases, in briefings and reports, from hosted events that you have, breakfasts or lunches or whatever they are, and through the social media platforms. So what I've talked about today are the kinds of apps that you can have in terms of how they relate, how they're analogous to an iPhone's apps, to Apple's apps, the content you can have, and then the avenues you can use to disseminate them. What is that, Koufax? You don't want to go for coffee and biscuits? There's an app for that? I don't think so. Let's go, Koufax. Come on, Koufax. Get in the car. In the car. Good boy.